Both President Trump and Education Secretary Linda McMahon continue to stress the importance of sending education back to the states, giving parents a bigger say in their child's education. Here's what the president said at the White House before leaving for Pennsylvania.
We had a big win with the Supreme Court on the Department of Education. We want, as you know, we want to bring education back to the states, take the federal government out of it. A little tiny bit of supervision, but very little, almost nothing, like to make sure they speak English. That's about all we need.
News Nation's Joe Khalil joins us live. Joe, good afternoon. What does this mean for states and schools across the country? You heard the president's remarks.
Well, if this goes forward permanently, it's going to be a major reshuffling in how we fund education and who is ultimately responsible for making the ultimate calls on education policy. The Supreme Court put this order forward, Nick. To be clear, it's not their final decision on a case. The case is going to continue to go on in legal back and forths. But in the meantime, what the Supreme Court said is that President Trump's plans to significantly downsize the federal Department of Education are allowed to move forward. That means President Trump is going to be allowed to move his plan forward to get rid of or lay off thousands of federal employees, to take most of the function that the federal Department of Education has now and put that in the hands of the states. We know that that is his aim. That's also the aim of Secretary of Education Linda McMahon, who put out a statement celebrating the decision and saying that we're going to carry out the reduction in force to promote efficiency and accountability and to ensure resources are directed where they matter most, to students, parents, and to teachers. Now, just a little while ago, in the last half hour, we talked to Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. She has been at the forefront of the House Education Committee. Just today, she was forefront in this hearing that focused on anti-Semitism on college campuses. She came out and we asked her some questions about President Trump's plan, whether she supports it, and whether her main issue, which is trying to get rid of anti-Semitism around schools, benefits from the federal department being shut down. Remember, the federal department has an Office of Civil Rights that seeks to curb things like hate speech, things like anti-Semitism. This is her response.
What have we seen from the Department of Education at the federal level? It has failed significantly. Frankly, it's very similar to the dynamics that we see in New York State. New York State's Department of Education has perpetuated anti-Semitism, whether it was their affiliations with Regents preparation materials, which were by definition anti-Semitic. Education decisions, number one, are best made first by parents, then by local communities, and then by local school boards.
Now, Nick, obviously very different viewpoint from most Democrats. We also talked to Congressman Pete Aguilar, the number 3 Democrat in the House, about this issue. He says this is about cost cutting on the backs of children.
This is going to affect schools across the country, but the administration has been very clear that they want to systematically dismantle the education system in our communities and the funding that we rely on locally for that. It's dangerous, it's unprecedented, but that's exactly who Donald Trump is.
And Nick, because this is still an ongoing case, there certainly could be even more legal challenges to this decision. So we're going to have to wait and see how all of this plays out in the legal space.
Yeah, and Joe, now that they've been given the green light, what does the education downsizing plan actually look like?
Yeah, so what it looks like is thousands of federal workers who work for the Department of Education entirely cut, but not all the way. The department is still going to exist in a very small form. Remember that Congress established the Department of Education. There are doubts as to whether the president can by himself totally get rid of it. So he would actually, in this way, downsize it just in a way that sort of makes it ineffective without getting rid of it entirely. But this would be here also the end, as this moves forward here, how this would end up looking. So state level and local level education departments would have to take on a lot of grant money, and they would be able to disperse it how they see fit rather than accepting it from the federal government, which now sets the standard for where dollars go.
Joe Khalil with the very latest on Capitol Hill. Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.